Hello everyone, welcome to MES e-learning channel. In this video, we will be learning about Routh's stability criteria. We will look at case 3 in which the first element of row is 0. So, we have a question in front of us. This is a characteristic equation. So, we start solving the numerical. First thing is we write all these S terms based on the characteristic equation given to us. Since the highest power associated with S is S raised to 5, so we have started writing S raised to 5, S raised to 4, S raised to 3 and so on. Okay. So, the next step would be to fill in the first two rows, okay, to fill in the first two rows using the characteristic equation that is given to us, right. So, S raised to 4 and S raised to 4. So, what is the number that is along with S raised to 4? It is 1. So, we will fill over here. Then with S raised to 4, what is the number? There is 1. So, we write it in front of S raised to 4. Then we move ahead. After this, we will fill the remaining values. So, in this row, since the power here is odd, we will fill the numbers that are with S that has an odd power like this. So, 2, then this 3, here this is 4 is an even power or an even number. So, we have written 1, then this is even again. So, 2 and this means S raised to 0, right. So, we will write 5 over here. So, after filling the first two rows, we will have to calculate and find values for other places in these remaining rows. So, to find the value for this particular position in S raised to 3, we will have to take 4 values from the preceding rows, right. So, we will be taking these two values, okay. So, we have 1 and 1 and then we will be taking these two values, that is 2 and 2, okay. So, we will be cross multiplying. We will start with this number always, okay. So, we will have 1 into 2 minus 2 into 1 divided by this number 1. So, after calculating, you will observe that the answer that you are getting is 0. So, you will fill in that value over here. Then, to find the value for this position, you will be using this 1 and 1 values again, okay. Do not make a mistake of using these two values, okay. So, you will start with 1 and 1 and instead of these two values, okay, instead of these two values, that is 2 and 2, you will be using 3 and 5. So, you will use this row, okay, and you will use values from this rows and these two values from these two rows, okay. So, please do not make a mistake, okay. So, we will write 3 and 5. Again, you start cross multiplying with this number, starting with this number. So, you have 1 into 3 minus 5 into 1 divided by 1, okay. After solving, calculating, you will get 3 minus 5 divided by 1. So, the value is going to be minus 2, you will write it over here. Now, the thing that we are observing here is that the first element of this row is 0. Now, if you have to find values of this position in S raised to 2, you will require which two values? You will be using 1, you will be using this 0 and then you will be using this and this. Now, if you remember, we start cross multiplying using this number, right. So, if you cross multiply with a 0, right. So, you will get infinity or undefined as an answer and you will get stuck and you will not be able to calculate values for the remaining places in the Routh's array. So, if such a case occurs where only the first element of the row is 0 like this, what we are going to do is we will assume that 0 is epsilon, okay. So, I will write it for you, okay. So, only first element of the row is 0, right, correct. So, therefore, we assume that 0 is epsilon. So, we will write the array again, we will replace that 0 with an epsilon and then we will proceed at solving and finding the remaining values in the Routh's array. So, let us write it down again. Okay. So, we will write quickly. Okay. So, S5 and S4 rows will remain as they are, there is no change in them. Okay. So, here instead of 0 we will be writing epsilon and here minus 2 as we have calculated, right. Now, for this place, okay, in S raised to 2 row, we will be using which two values? We will be using these two values and these two values. Okay, for this, these two values. For this place, which two values we will be using? We will be using, I will just use this color. So, we will be using this only, okay, it remains, these two values remain constant and we will be using this row. Okay. I hope it is clear. If you have a doubt, please put it down in the comment. So, I will be able to explain it better. Okay, so for this position over here, we will be using for S square's first position, we have 1 epsilon 2 and minus 2. Again, what we will be doing? We will be cross multiplying starting from this position. So, we will have epsilon into 2 minus 2 into 1 divided by epsilon. So, if you simplify this, you will get 2 epsilon plus 2 upon epsilon. Okay. And then for this particular position over here, what you will be using for the second position? 1 and epsilon remain constant, okay, these two values, and instead of this you will be using this. So, what is that? 5, there is nothing over here, right, meaning there is a 0. Again you will cross multiply and what do we get? We get epsilon into 5 minus 0 into 1 upon epsilon. After calculating this or simplifying, you will get 5 as the answer. So, we will update these values here in this row. Okay. So, we will update it here. So, we have 2e epsilon plus 2 upon epsilon and here we have 5. So, what are the remaining rows? S raised to 1 and S raised to 0. Okay. Now, let us proceed and find the remaining values quickly. Now, for S raised to 1, what values we will be using? Please pause the video and try to answer the question. So, we will be using these two values, correct, and these two values. So, what are they? We have epsilon, then we have 2 epsilon plus 2 upon epsilon and here we have minus 2 and 5. So, we start cross multiplying starting from here. Okay. So, what do we have? 2 epsilon plus 2 upon epsilon into minus 2 minus 5 into epsilon upon this number, that is 2 epsilon plus 2 upon epsilon. So, after simplifying, okay, so simply you have to simplify and what will you get? You will get 4 epsilon minus 4 minus 5 epsilon square upon 2 epsilon plus 2. Okay. Please try to simplify, you should get this. After this, you will be writing this particular value over here, that is minus 4 epsilon minus 4 minus 5 epsilon square upon 2 epsilon plus 2. We simply have to find the value for S0. So, for S0, what we will do, for what values do we have? We will use this particular value, this and here we have a 0. So, we will cross multiply. Okay. So, for S0, we have 2 epsilon plus 2 upon epsilon upon this term, okay, 5 and 0. So, you have to start cross multiplying from this number. So, what will you get? You will have this term, correct, into 5 minus this into this, 0 into this number is going to be 0. So, let us write 0 upon this term, right. So, let us write it. So, these terms will get cancelled out and you will get 5 as answer. So, let us fill it over here. Okay. So, we were able to build the entire Routh's array. Once you have the Routh's array, you have to observe if there is a sign change in the first column. Okay. So, this is the first column, the first value is 1, positive 1, then we have 1 again, then we have epsilon which is positive, then again we have this term which is positive. Okay. Now, here this term over here is negative. So, there is one sign change from positive to negative, and here from negative to plus 5 there is a sign change, right. So, there are a total 2 sign changes, correct. So, sign has changed how many times? Sign has changed 2 times. So, tell me how there are how many roots? Since there are 2 sign changes, there are 2 roots. Where are they? They are in the positive half of the S plane. So, if this is the case, what is the system? Is it stable, unstable or marginally stable? The system is said to be unstable. So, let us write the conclusion. Okay. So, what is the conclusion? Sign has changed twice. So, there are 2 roots on the positive half of the S plane. Therefore, system is unstable. So, I hope you have understood. There are a total of 3 cases. The previous 2 cases have been discussed in the previous videos. Please check those videos also. Thanks for watching.